No, right. What
Boom.
the hell was that?
I was trying to grab my
Oh,
tripod,
welcome
man.
to.
My shit.
Oh, right on. Trying to make it
Ugh,
right as the time ends, huh? All right.
I'm
Hey,
the
welcome back
ticker.
to the Military Retirement Podcast. Great to be here. Another Sunday morning, nice and cold this morning across the country. Really, was talking to some folks yesterday, and they mentioned that like in Boston or I think it was Navy Cop in Washington, they were talking about it was like 40, 30 maybe.
Yep.
I'm here in SoCal. It's freaking. It was like 40 this morning, like light frost on the cars. Got out of the house about 5:30 this morning. Made a promise to myself and to folks out there, the subscribers on the Green Logbook, that we're going to work together on this and get out there and get after it really, and just work out. Just be a little healthier. I've been kind of neglecting it myself, so I figured why not get out there and get the blood flowing, the blood pumping, things like that. And that's something I connected with the VA folks recently over at VA Health, Whole Health, VA Health, I think. So essentially, it's a program that they have, and they have different things like they can get you into like archery, kayaking, things like that. The guy's emailing me, giving me a call. He's like, "Dude, are you still interested in this?" I said, "Yes, but I mean, can you tone down the calls? Because I'm getting like 5 a day sometimes. Like different people call me from different offices. So, but very cool stuff, and it kind of prompted me to do like actually take charge of that promise that I made myself. Like, hey, I want to be able to live as long as possible because I am getting these VA benefits. I am getting these damn this military retirement. I want to live as long as possible to essentially reap the rewards of everything I put forth, all the effort I put forth in my 20s and my 30s, and really the start of my 40s while in uniform."
Yeah. Yeah. Make it worth your while and put the action behind the words, right? That's the
Hell
important
yeah,
thing.
man. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Navy Cop on there. Yeah, he mentions a low of 30 with a rocking high of 42 today, and rain. So much rain. That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of flooding out there. Last time he couldn't get on the live stream because he had to get off because there was some flooding and stuff.
Yeah.
66 T Love. Hey, blessed Sunday morning, everyone. Hey, good morning to you as well. It is great
Morning to you,
to
love.
have woken up this morning at all. It
That's
is a
right.
breath of fresh air. It is. So, John, man, I wanted to get into some stuff here, specifically on VA benefits, right? So, as you know, we as veterans, we have served the country. We have done our mission in the military, right? Some of us are still in there doing it as active duty, and soon will get the benefits that they have earned, that they deserve. Some of us, our veterans, have served our time, whether it's 4 years or 40 years, doesn't matter, and you've earned your benefits. And lately, I've been seeing, just kind of clicking around YouTube, right? So it's kind of a hot topic these days on veterans benefits, veterans and VA disability. I mean, I jumped on this guy's, I think I told you about it. I jumped on this guy's podcast or his live stream, H Town Vet, I believe his name is. And
Yep.
he was talking about this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Gade at the time. And, he just wanted to get different people's perspectives. So I jumped on there with this dude named Raider HQ, which, he's also a popular one that talks about disability and all that. And we just kind of jumped on there. I didn't have much to say about it because I'm like, you know what? It doesn't, I guess it doesn't affect me. So I'm kind of out of that sphere too much for a little bit. A lot of the folks that I've seen their videos, like they're the ones fighting for the VA disabilities, things like that. I felt like I'm not fighting for it because I got what I thought I deserved. And I'm like, I'm not searching for anything else, so that's what it is. I'll keep it at that. But it is interesting seeing these channels and seeing these folks who on these other channels, not specifically these ones that I mentioned, who come out and they kind of start calling out the VA disability ratings, the amounts that veterans get, and they're not veterans. They've not served, and it's kind of eye opening. For one, when I was watching it, this morning and last night. And I'm thinking to myself, like what leg do you have to stand on? Like what, You've never served. You never put on the uniform. You never raised your right. I was going to raise my left hand. You've never raised your right hand, and so you have no room to talk. So they're coming from the perspective of it costs $50 billion to pay VA disability, and if you've not been to combat, hey, do you actually rate it? And I guess that's a discussion I'd love to ask the folks in the live stream in the comments. What is your perspective on that? If you've not served in combat, should it be like capped? Should the VA disability rating be capped? I'm curious what people's perspectives are. And then that's something that this guy H. Town Vet asked me, and my response to that was, that the government, the military, use your body for a mission. For to complete their missions, to do the daily things that you're asked to do, go on hikes, just be prepared to potentially fight battles and win wars, right? And through that, you might incur injuries. You might, get ankle sprains, and one thing leads to another because you're constantly doing these things. It's not like you just go on a one ruck march or one hike or hump or whatever how we call it in the Marine Corps, and that's it. There's jumping out of the back of 7 tons for some training. It doesn't matter if you're an admin person, you're still going to have to do that. And that causes wear and tear on your ankles, on your knees, on your back, on all that stuff. You're carrying heavy packs. You're just doing the mission, so it doesn't matter if folks have deployed or not. It doesn't matter. I think the example there was a cook. The guy was a cook, like cooks don't deploy. Well, yeah, they do deploy.
Yeah, they do.
They very much do, and so it's like they've earned these benefits. It doesn't matter. It should not be capped. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, if you have any kind of mental issues, if you have any kind of physical issues, you need to get those things documented, and you rate what you've earned in service.
Yeah, I mean, so initially and first, like I've been back and forth on this while I was in uniform. Now that I'm out of uniform, now that I've spoken to a bunch of veterans and a bunch of retirees, and even working alongside retirees and veterans and people who have disability ratings, as I was still in uniform, but also working as a contractor or a government civilian in my time during the reserves and stuff like that. So I've had the opportunity to see a pretty broad spectrum and a pretty broad sample size of different folks that fall into different categories. So, I mean, if we just look at just the folks who get through basic training, because that's basically the first step in your military career, is you go through MEPS, you do all your medical checks, and they do all your background checks, and then they send you off to basic training, usually 8 weeks, depending. But generally speaking, 8 weeks. That's 8 long, hard weeks. I mean, I know it's been a little less heavy than it used to be. Like, it's not full contact basic training anymore. It's also, a little bit kinder, but I can imagine. I haven't been to a basic training unit for a while. I was at Fort Jackson a couple times the last couple of years before I moved over to Italy. And seeing the troops, and it's one thing that I enjoy more than anything else is going to these training bases and seeing like the basic training troops, seeing the AIT folks who are going through their first school for their MOS. I love seeing that because I love to see the young folks going through, getting the discipline, getting the basic building blocks of becoming a soldier or a Marine or an airman or whatever force that they fight with. So just in that 8-week time period, like there's a lot that can go wrong. You can get broken bones. Some people have died during basic training, right? And it's not to say that they at that point weren't giving their life for their country. Like as soon as you sign the paperwork and as soon as you leave your house and go off to put on the uniform and go stand in these formations and stand in the rain and do push-ups and all these fun things, you're basically serving your country. Like that's your main purpose in life while you have that uniform on, while you're in uniform, while you've raised your right hand to go do that, whether you go on to be a cook or you go on to be a judge advocate or you go on to be an HR person or whatever the job you go into. Like you've already, every single person in the military goes through that, basically that 8 weeks of tough training which includes, combat tactics on the battlefield, squad movements, rigorous physical exercise, multiple nights without sleep, like those kind of things that set you up for going into your duty assignments to potentially go and fight wars for our country. And let's just face it, like when I came in the 90s, right, there was essentially no war going on. We had peacekeeping missions going on in Bosnia, in Croatia. The first Gulf War was already passed, about 5 or 6 years past. The second Gulf War wasn't on the rise for another 5 or 6 years. So we weren't in active combat for those, couple of years when I first came in. But all the while, like, the reason why you get a VA rating is because you've incurred some sort of injury in service, and you can prove that it was incurred in service, and you have the medical records backing up what the injury was and how it impacted your life, whether it's breaking a bone or, getting severe COVID or like whatever it is. As long as it's in service, that's kind of the standard rating for getting VA compensation, right? So based on that, I think regardless if you went to combat or not, like if you went to combat, of course, you're going to have a lot more stuff on your records potentially, and you're going to be able to potentially rate higher than other folks who haven't been to combat, but that doesn't mutually exclude anything from VA compensation, whether you've been to combat or not been to combat. You put on the uniform.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that sparked this, and when looking at these YouTube videos that I've been watching about this one particular gentleman who is kind of calling folks out, is that a lot of these folks who get these high ratings, these high disability ratings, are now like on the younger side, right? 1, 2 enlistments maybe, and for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know of anybody like me personally. I mean, I'm sure there's people deployed different places, but I don't know of anybody right now who is like in Iraq or anything like that. Me personally. And I mean, when's the last time we really deployed to like Iraq and Afghanistan? I think it's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like not that we're doing like these combat missions unless you're doing like the whole Venezuela thing or whatever, and you're part of that group. But a lot of these folks who are getting out are like 4 years in, or 4 years out, should I say. And they're getting these high ratings. And I think that's kind of where a lot of this kind of comes to the surface. Just kind of perusing the whole TikTok thing, like I mentioned a while back. I noticed that a lot of these veterans, supposedly veterans, right? Supposedly, I don't know if these people are just playing the parts and just making these videos for like clout or for clicks or whatever. But they're putting this stuff up there, and it's kind of enraging, man. It really is. I see it. I'm seeing like this. 100%. How to get 100% at 25 years old or whatever, dancing around, dancing in their car, and I'm like, it's kind of enraging to see that, and it doesn't help out the whole community as a whole, like the veteran community, when folks are legitimately broken, or not. I don't want to say broken. They did legitimately have service connected issues, that they're working through, and they can't get it because for whatever reason it's like it's becoming harder maybe to get it, because people are bringing this stuff to the surface. I wanted to share this video, man. So like Veterans Info Tap, right? We've talked about it before here. Good dude, this guy Jason up here. And what's that?
One of my favorites.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a good dude. So he had put out a video, and it's titled "I Am Pissed." Caleb Hammer consistently shaming and disparaging VA rated veterans. And once you see this, you'll understand why. So let me unmute this thing, and I'll play it up here on the screen. And it's kind of funny because he will be he's showing a screenshot of a screenshot, and it's going to be like screenshot of a screenshot of a screenshot. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Hold on a second. Here we go. Watch.
Small one that I found. Okay. This is one small clip that I found that I'm going to pull up here. There we go. And here's the deal. This is one of very, very many situations of him berating the system and quite frankly, berating veterans. So let's go ahead and watch this, and then we will talk about it some more.
There has not been one veteran in the entire 3 years of the show who are on full disability, many of whom never actually went overseas or actually did anything. One of them was even just a cook. This takes up 2% of the federal budget, which is like $500 billion a year or something. So I'm not against it. It just seems like, there might be something wrong, especially since there's services out there that you can go to and they help you sell your disability to the VA to get your disability. They literally coach you on how to get it. Yeah, something's going on.
Let me mute that real quick so I can talk. So yeah, you saw it there. Like the dude talked about the coaching stuff. I mean, he in that instance, I don't think he's wrong. There are these organizations out there that kind of, take advantage of that. The whole, hey, do you want to get 100% rating? I've been contacted by these organizations, right? Hey, I saw that you're leaving the service. Are you looking to get 100% rating? And this is while I already did my BDD claim. I had already gotten, because I got my BDD, my VA rating 11 days after I EAS'd because the BDD rate, the BDD route, and BDD for anybody out there, it's benefits delivery or discharge, just a quicker way to do your VA disability rating while you're still active duty. I had already received my rating, and that company, it was on LinkedIn, and then they emailed me. Somehow they got my friggin' email, and they're like, "Hey, saw that you're leaving the service. Would like to talk to you if you're looking to, if you're looking to get to 100%." And this is like a cold call, like a cold email. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And immediately I thought, let me play around here really quick. Let me ask them, hey, here, just throw a scenario up there. What if I'm 50% and wanted to get to 100%? Well, how would that work? How much would that cost me? And it took a couple emails for them to respond to that, because they were just kind of working around the question. And essentially what they told me was they came up with $17,000. We'll get you to 100%. And I'm like, how can you guarantee? I'm wondering, how can you guarantee that? Like, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what my records show. Like, it'll take you 17 grand to get to 100%. That's crazy.
No. Yeah, I mean, so that's their whole purpose. And also just as a kind of a red flag alert, like if somebody doesn't want to quote you the price up front, you might want to second guess, like think twice about working with that person or doing business with that business or that entity. First and foremost. The second thing I want to touch on really quick is he had mentioned in that video, and I've seen that video multiple times, and it's funny. Of course, he's very good at poking the topic and doing the media, justice of really just demonstratizing. I don't even know if that's a word, but demonizing.
Today it
demonizing
is
topics. Today it is demonstratizing. Damn it, that's the word of the day. Type that in the chat, and we'll send you a free sticker. But he did bring up a very interesting thing, and he said it's 2% of the government's budget. And I'm just looking up, and this is, forgive me if I haven't done the complete background and money breakdown of the U.S. Budget, which I don't think even people in Washington D.C. have really done that up to this point either way. But the 2%, 2 to 2.5% is just about right for the VA disability compensation. Only a portion of the total VA budget, which is about 5% of federal spending, right? So if I look at that and I think about the problems that we have in the world and the infrastructure problems that need to be taken care of in the states, and fixing roads and fixing, electricity and water and utilities and things like that, those kind of infrastructure problems that could be taken care of, securing our borders, like all these things that the government spends money on, right? 2 to 5% of the government budget is really just almost a rounding error at this point, like really seriously. So from that perspective, I would say, you know, if you're worried about the VA giving away too much money and dipping into 2% or 3% of the government budget, like shut up. Like, what's your problem? Like, isn't there more important things to worry about? Like, maybe we should get some nuclear power or something. Like, we should do something with the infrastructure of our country to make it more modernized and better. Curing homeless, like, you know, things like that. 2 to 3% of the budget is not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
No, it's not. And you know, I agree with you. I had a question for you, man. It just escaped my mind because I was so like enthralled by what you were saying. If I'm using that word right, and I saw a Navy cop put it on there. Demonstratizing. Don't worry, Navy cop, you are not having a stroke. Is it service connected? I don't know, but make sure it's in your records.
Right.
Gosh, what was the question? I'll move on from there. But yeah, it is not a big part of the budget, right? I think you said what, 5%?
5% total, roughly about 2 to 2.5% for VA disability compensation.
Yeah.
That
So
equates
do you think
that equates to about, so 5% of the budget equates to about 326 billion. So about half of that, 112 billion is just, I think that's right. 150, 160 billion would be the VA disability compensation. It's paid to all veterans.
And then, you know, Bruce Daniel brought something up here, and this is the talk I had with that guy H-Town Vet on his live stream too. He says, I'm totally with Jason, Veterans Info, Tap and Clay, CivDiv, and that we need to take the word disability, out of the name entirely, as it seems to mislead the public. So that's good. I like that train of thought, because, you know, when I think VA disability, when I think disability in general, I'm thinking like somebody on crutches or somebody in a wheelchair or something like that. Not necessarily somebody, you know, parking in a Lowe's parking lot, just walking out to go get some lumber or something. I like the idea of VA service connected. So that sounds a little bit better to me. And comment, you know, if there's any other maybe term that I might be, you know, missing or would be better than the word disability, please comment, put in the comments. But I think something like service connected is even a lot better than disability. I mean, it's kind of an antiquated thing. It's always been called VA disability, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know the full history of it, but I've never heard it called anything else. So
yeah, we might have to change that up. And you know, I guess it would take the VA secretary to make that judgment, make that change. I don't know, but I think that would, it definitely would make me feel better about it, right? Because I think I've talked to you about the whole mindset thing behind the word disability and the word retirement. It kind of makes you feel like you're deteriorating in some fashion. You know, even like, you know, I got friends who have the little what is it, the handicapped license plate. And I'm like, but you know, you don't look handicapped. I understand what their injuries are. You know, they might have TBI, PTSD, and things like that. Just because I know them, but you know, just looking at them from the outside in, it doesn't look like it, and that can be construed as something negative if they're like outside, maybe out for a walk, out for a run. Hey, you're not handicapped. You know. Yeah, 66T Love.
Those are my favorite cars to see it.
What's that?
No, I was going to say those are my favorite cars to see in the parking lot when you go to Walmart or go to, you know, Applebee's or wherever you go to, and you see the Corvette, like the brand new Corvette with the handicap plates parked up front. My favorite cars to see.
Dude's got an awesome a car, a Corvette, a freaking Escalade out there. I don't know. Do people still ride Escalades? Is that really a thing still, or is that like a early 2000s you know, hip hop video type thing? It says drop the disability.
I think that's a 90s hip hop.
It might be, right? I'm still like in my Nelly era. Yeah. Drop the disability.
People are driving Teslas now, Vic. Come on.
Teslas. Yeah, right. I've not jumped on the Tesla train. I talked to my wife about it in the past, and I just I don't know. I can't do it, man. Something about, and they're cool cars, right? They're they have self-driving features. Some of them, different models. I can't. I guess I've watched too many of these movies where like these Teslas were just taking over. There was one movie I watched. I can't remember what it was. It was a show movie, and there was just a bunch of Teslas. It might have been like The Walking Dead or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But Tesla's just slamming into like the end of this road because they can be controlled via computer. Somebody can control your vehicle, which I don't really like that. But then I think back and look at it, and I'm like, okay, well, I carry this thing in my pocket all day. It's got a microphone and a camera. I don't know if anybody's listening. I don't know if anybody's looking at my camera. I'm sure there's cameras all over the place. People are kind of watching and taking control in some fashion every day. So, but the thing is, I'm in a car. They can control the speed. They can control everything. So, yeah, I've not jumped on the Tesla train for that reason.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily on the Tesla train, but I will say that the one time that I did have a Tesla rental car, just on accident, actually, because I landed at the airport and like everything was closed at 5 p.m. and I didn't have a way to get a rental car set up, and I just was scattering and trying to figure out how to get a rental car, and I found this app that had basically electric cars, and I did everything through the app. I signed up on the app on that day, put my credit card stuff in. It said, okay, your car's ready. You just got to go to this parking spot. You go to the car, you hit the button on the app, it unlocks the car, no keys. And
No shit.
that
Wow.
I drove that car for about 2 weeks. It was a basic Tesla Model 3, I think. And it was the most amazing 2 weeks of driving a car. And I'm like you, I'm an old school car guy. I grew up
Yeah.
in the carburetor era, and I love taking old cars apart and working on them and fixing brakes and doing all the stuff, the mechanical stuff. So I like old cars too, but that changed my mind about electric cars immediately.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to them. Some of them look cool. I just can't get on the Tesla thing. I've got a Honda. My wife drives another vehicle like that, and I don't know. I just can't get on it, man. And it's like, expensive as hell too. And I find that like when you buy them new, they're expensive, and then I see them on Facebook Marketplace all the time. Just like it's almost like a BMW, right? You ever seen a BMW? They lose their value so quickly. So
Yep.
I've seen a couple of Teslas that maybe they're salvage title. I don't know. But yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you, John, man, and folks in the comments too. What are your thoughts on? And this is kind of silly, but what are your thoughts on asking for veteran discounts at places? You probably can't do it too much because you're over in Italy. They don't give
Luckily
veteran discounts.
No. You get the Sicilian discount. You don't get the veteran discount.
No, you get the hey, get the fuck out of here.
Che cazzo vuoi? They in the States, depending on the place, I think when I was in uniform, matter of fact, I know for sure in uniform, at least while I was on active duty, I would generally ask if they did any kind of military discount or anything like that. And
Right.
usually surprisingly, a lot of times people will be like, nope, we don't do that. We don't support blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I have participated in the Veterans Day kind of round robin, going around and getting oil change and haircut and things like that. I love, somebody mentioned U.S. Army Grunt mentioned, and thank you for your service too, by the way. You're a great person, and love having you here. Also want to give a shout out to Gennaro. He's in the chat too. He's one of my local battle buddies here. Good to have you guys on. But I do like that comment about Lowe's and Home Depot. That's one of the VA kind of government discounts that I use regularly. when I was in the States. I love having that 10% off. It makes a little bit of a difference, but it's also nice when you're buying a bunch of crap from Home Depot, and a cart full of Ryobi batteries are not cheap. So, but yeah, I generally don't mind asking when I think about it. If I'm not thinking about it, it's not like I go into the stores with the intent to ask for it, but if it does happen to cross my mind, or if I think about it, and in a lot of cases, like for the Home Depot thing, in a lot of cases, I had an older gentleman still with us over the age of 80, one of my neighbors, and I used to help him out a lot, and he used to come over and help me out a lot, doing stuff around the house, taking care of things around the house and this kind of stuff. And every once in a while I would take him with me, and or if he needed something for the house, and I'd be like, look, I got to go get some stuff anyway, so just tell me what you need and I'll just go get it. And then I'd use my discount to do that, and kind of save him some money as well. So
yeah. So
I don't know if that's
a lot of places
authorized,
like
that's what I did.
Lowe's. Nah, it doesn't matter, man. Yeah, a lot of places like Lowe's, they have. I mean, you don't have to ask for that stuff anymore, right? It's like built into the computer system, so that's cool.
Yep.
I used to, until I figured like it's. I don't know. I stopped doing it after a while. Like, hey, do you all? I switched it up. I used to ask for the veteran discount. That I'm like, hey, do you guys do like military appreciation here? And they're
Right.
like, no, but I wish we did. But then I don't know. A couple of years ago, I just stopped asking about it. I mean, I forgot about it, or when I did buy my washer and dryer over at Lowe's, I did ask for that. I know, like this is before they stopped doing it, I think, for the big appliances. But I did purchase my washer and dryer there, and it does save a significant, like several hundreds of dollars when you have like those big ticket items. But yeah, there was a video. I'm trying to find it on here, and it was kind of hilarious, man. It was this lady. I think it was at Costco, and the Costco, the big store, the big warehouse store, and I'm looking for it. I've seen it years ago, but she walked in there. They wouldn't give her a military discount on something, or a veteran discount, and she just went off the rails. Just it might have been Walmart, even went off the rails, just yelling at the lady like, "Hey, they're not honoring veterans. They're not honoring veterans." I'm like, no. Once you have to do that, it cheapens it, right? It makes you look like, for one, an ass.
Yeah.
And everybody around you. I mean, it gives the word veteran or veterans around, everywhere, like a bad look. It really does.
Yeah, it's that's the part that I can't stand, when people go off the rails about anything, whether they're on an airplane or if they're standing in line trying to get a discount for military service or whatever. Like, if they say no, just accept the no, and you have a choice. You can stay there and shop and spend your money there with them, or you can take your morals and say, okay, you're not going to support us as veterans. Like, I'll go spend my money somewhere else, but you don't have to make a scene. Like, calm down.
No
Chill.
no scenes, man. It really, yeah, exactly. It really does. It looks bad, right? It does look bad. Like somebody, like I have that company, the Undercover Clip, and somebody had asked me, "Do you have military discounts?" And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's already not that expensive, but okay, yeah, I can give you a coupon code if you want, like 10% off.
Yeah.
But I've joked around at the exchange asking them for military discounts too. Like, hey, you guys do that here? They're like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? You're in the exchange.
Exactly. In the commentary.
You see here. Yeah. Navy Cop says, if they want to provide it, it is on them as a choice. It's the vets that push for it or degrade the businesses that don't offer it and puts it in a bad light. Yeah. John, you know what I'm not a fan of, man, is asking friends businesses for a discount. Have you ever heard of somebody like that? Like, hey, they're my friend, they're my buddy, they should hook it up. It's more so, maybe you should support the friend in their business and pay full price because they're your friend, right? They're your buddy. Not a fan of that. I've had that in the past too. Like, hey, you got the veteran discount, the hookup, and I'm like, no, I don't. I can give you a coupon code, a one-time coupon code, but don't get used to it, man. I mean, we're supposed to be tight, dude.
Yeah. I think we're very privileged, at least probably going to be a little bit more privileged in the future, in the coming years, depending on how things go. But we're in a very privileged position to be able to try our best to get to reach out to companies and reach out to folks and get discount codes for everyone in our audience, for those people who watch and pay attention and subscribe and listen to us and watch us talk. We try our best to get discount codes, and sometimes we end up getting the discount codes ourselves as well. But it actually feels really good to just not only meet and talk to and get to spend time with some of these founders and some of these folks who are running these businesses, veteran-owned businesses, veteran-owned nonprofits, but to actually give some money back to them and spend some money and spend some time with them. It actually feels really, really good on the back end, not getting a discount and being able to support them and push them forward to do great things so they can support us in return. It's a really nice ecosystem.
Yeah, as 66T Love mentioned, I asked about that discounts. Seniors, college students, and others get them. Yeah, I mean, and you're right. And there's places like those. I forgot the name of the website, like Gov something. I can't recall, but they give all these discounts.
Like GovX.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, they give all these discounts for veterans. And I mean, they're not bad, right? I mean, they're like some percentage off of Oakleys or boots or whatever it is. Things that you normally use, flashlights and stuff like that. They'll give you those discounts, right? And that's cool. That's cool. If you're like a first responder, sometimes teachers, like students, things like that, they'll give you that discount. John, you used a good word just now, and I wrote it down. It's the word privileged. Okay, privileged. And I thought hard about this one in the past when I started watching these videos. When I, just a couple months ago, when I started coming across like these TikTok videos and all that, and the word privilege definitely came up on comments, and it's been kind of on the back of my mind, as veterans, and with the benefits that we get, with the like even military retirees. I mean, we get the pension, right? VA disability, whatever your disability is, it's a recurring payment every month unless you get reevaluated, and they potentially lower it for some reason. But what is your idea on like privilege when it comes to getting all these benefits for veterans?
I mean, you earned it. You worked for it. You signed up. You signed your name on the dotted line, whether you spent 10 days in service or 10 years or 20 years or whatever it happens to be, whatever the amount of time is. If you actually went to MEPS and did all the processing and went through the hurry up and wait, and if you stepped forward and volunteered, because it's a volunteer service, right? You stepped forward and volunteered to put on the uniform to protect your country, whether you believe that wholeheartedly or in some kind of abstract way, like that's what you essentially did. And to get benefits on the back end of that, it's a very good thing. It helps people out in a lot of ways. It's a good opportunity for folks. But you also should remember it every single day. Like you should literally like tattoo it on your arm or on your hand or somewhere, that you not only did you volunteer your life to protect our country, but you also, because of that, maybe getting some kind of benefits or some kind of services or something from the government in the back end of that. And you should be very thankful and grateful for that. It should be every day you should wake up and every day should be Thanksgiving for you. You should be thankful for not only the fact that you survived military service, that you potentially went to a couple conflicts overseas and have been in, war zones and been in combat zones and have made it back safely. But then to get additional benefits on top of that, I think it's really something that everybody should wake up every morning and just, I know you've got a couple things that you wake up and you're thankful for, breathing air, being able to go on hikes, being able to do this stuff that we do. Your children, your family, your wife, your parents, your grandparents, brothers and sisters, like you're thankful for a lot of things. And I'm sure you go through this kind of exercise every morning. I feel like everybody should go through this exercise every single morning. Get up, be thankful, be grateful. Privilege to me is not being grateful. It's when you take
Mhm.
what you have out of context. That's the way I feel about it.
I love that, man, because it's true. It's the mindset that keeps me going is I wake up. I'm thankful that I have, working hands and legs. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of veterans don't have that, right? Missing limbs, things like that. I went through my TAPS class. The one of the education tracks or the entrepreneurship track had a mix of retirees and first termers. And one of the guys sitting next to me was he had um, was it like a missing limb? Like he had one of those metal limbs. And I don't know, like I didn't know you could serve in the military and still have that, And
Yep.
this guy essentially he was MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, young guy too. He was probably like 20 something. Um, just got to talking to him about it quickly. Not about his leg, but about the whole um, entrepreneurship thing. Kind of connect a little bit. But when I saw him, I was like, "Holy crap, man! This guy gave up a limb for his country." I hope he gets everything that he deserves. Because I have heard of folks. This is like during the time when I was doing like the TRS and then starting the BDD, getting my medical records, doing the research. I did hear that people who maybe should rate higher percentages don't actually get those for some reason. And speaking with my DAV rep, the VSO who did my thing, mentioned that she had handfuls of combat veterans, like people who have incurred like serious injuries, who cannot get past 70%.
Yep.
Whereas she has other folks who maybe don't have those same things, logisticians, warehouse folks, who are right off the bat 100%. And I'm like, how's that work? She's like, it's in their medical record. And a lot of these folks who, a lot of folks are too proud to go to medical until it's like too
Yep.
late. And they're like, hey, I don't have anything. So they have to rely on buddy letters and all this Nexus stuff or, just back end stuff that it's harder to push forward to the VA to get your stuff rated. And I completely understand that the whole proud thing, like they always kind of pound it in your head, at least in the Marine Corps, like, hey, if you go to medical, you're weak. That was the mindset, right? If you go to medical, you're weak. You're essentially out of the mission. You're not backing up your brothers, sisters, or all that. You're hindering the unit, and that has been a constant. So I understand like the whole mindset. If I go to medical, I'm weak, so I don't have my stuff annotated in my medical record. With that, John, I this might be a good idea for another video, like another topic as well. Um, I had written it down here, and it was other countries. How do other countries handle their VA disability or their disability for their services, their armed services? I don't know that it would be called VA disability or their retirement ratings. I have to believe that the U.S. has one of the top like payouts for retirees and VA disability, like in the world.
Yep.
I don't foresee like Venezuela or Colombia or name any other country really that has like the benefits that we have here. Like, have you even like Italy? Have you heard anything about like Italian armed services or armed forces and their retirement system and everything like that?
I mean, I know they have a retirement system for their military, but as far as compensation goes, like to begin with, the whole country is basically, um, unified healthcare for every single person. Like if you're a citizen of Italy, then you have access to healthcare, right? So it's not like you have to go
Mm.
in the military for 20 years and then get out and then get VA compensation rating and then be able to go to the VA hospital under some certain special circumstances just to get healthcare and medical care. Like you can just go there and do it. So a lot of countries in
Right.
Europe, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, most of the big countries within Europe, within the EU, have, universal health care for everybody. Well, I say universal. There's some slight variations of that depending on where you're at, and you can get potentially a little bit better healthcare, upgraded healthcare if you pay for like privatized healthcare depending on your income bracket within that country. But generally speaking, like across the board healthcare within Europe is pretty much the norm either way. Disability compensation, I'm not too sure about. I was reaching out to I'm just trying to pull up the message that we had a chat between us, a couple guys actually from, I believe one was from Canada and the other was from the UK, and they do a lot of military like stuff like we do. And I was trying to reach out to them and see if we could do some cross collaboration stuff. I have to see if I can reach back out to them. But yeah, that would be an interesting topic. I'm sure, 100% sure. I don't even have to really guess about it. That the U.S. government and our 2.5% of total federal budget is more than anything any other country is giving to their veterans.
Yeah, I'd be curious about these countries, and I think like you was a Navy cop put it on there. Talk to the gosh, it was the Carabinieri. Is that the police
Carabinieri.
force?
It's like a police force. They have a couple different police forces here in Italy, but that's one of them. Yeah, Carabinieri.
It's a crapshoot when they finish their required service. Yeah, I got to believe, without having done any research on this really, and now I wrote it down because I'm going to go through this deep dive now on looking up different countries, retirement benefits, disability benefits, things like that. I think it would make for a good discussion on that. So on the green logbook a while back, several months ago, I had this gentleman on. He no longer has the channel that he ran during our conversation, but in our conversation, he mentioned that that we can get better as veterans with service-connected injuries. When I mentioned to him, like, hey, I have, excuse me, I have a like a messed up back. This stems from like jumping out of a 7-ton at one point. Like I bent sideways. I don't. It was a weird thing. Like I went to medical after that. I still trained a little bit, but it hurt like hell. And I told him, hey, look, I've been suffering with this thing for years, right? And he's like, yeah, I can get better. I'm like, how? He's like, through physical therapy. I'm like, dude, I've been in physical therapy for like, I don't know, 10, 12 years for that, and it still feels the same. Like if I constantly have to sit to the side and all that because it doesn't feel good. And his mindset is that, and he does physical therapy as well. He's like, yeah, it can all get better. Like all your injuries that you have can get better. And I'm like, well, we disagreed on that a little bit. There's some things that don't get better, like metal rods in the leg after surgery. I don't know if that's going to get better, But his mindset was he would gladly give up all his VA disability money if he could feel better, and that's not something that I hear too much, and he's like, I shouldn't say this on in public, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway because I feel so strongly about it. I would gladly give up, he says, I would gladly give up my all the money I'm getting if I could just take away all my injuries. I'm like, okay, well, a lot of folks rely on that money that they're getting, for their livelihood to feel better, for whatever, the injuries incurred in service, you get what you've earned. I've not heard too many people say that. Have you ever come across somebody like that? Like, hey, they would gladly give up all their money that they're getting to feel a little bit better?
Nah, I haven't heard anybody say that really. I mean, I've heard people say it like tongue in cheek, right? Jokingly, like, I would give up all the money to have a better back. I say it once in a while myself, right? If I could just give the money back and just have my back completely fixed, that would be amazing. One swoosh and I would be completely happy, I think. But I guess kind of the underlying thing about it is like there's legislation and things that governments sign and documents and treaties and things that we've done in the government. Just speaking of government, I'm not talking about the private sector, civilian sector, or anything like that, but there's things that the government has signed into law over the years, and some of them suck and some of them don't suck, depending on which end of the suck you're on. Like,
Right.
for example, the and we've spoke about it a few times, the kind of the SOFA agreements that the US government has between different countries, whether it's Japan or Germany or Italy or whatever, and they're all different, right, in their own little ways. Like,
Mhm.
they're sort of similar, but they're a little bit different depending on which country you're signing with. That agreement was written up, I don't know, 60 years ago after World War II, or those agreements, excuse me. And in the majority of the cases, when it comes to what that agreement means to Americans being in a foreign country, those agreements suck. Like, they suck. They were written so long ago. They've never been really updated or revised or re-looked at, right? But they're the agreements that are in place. Same with the VA disabilities, the VA compensation and the VA healthcare system, and how veterans are treated after they perform service and come out of uniform.
Mhm.
Those laws and rules were written many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Conversely, those things have been updated over time. They've been looked at. They've been reevaluated. You've added things like the PACT Act and things like that. They're constantly evolving, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way it's written down, and that's the way it's spelled out by law. And for people to go up against that from one side or the other side and say, "Oh no, it's not great," or "It's not good," or "I wouldn't want these benefits." Like, you're entitled to the benefits. If you don't want to take them, don't take them. Like, I don't know. There's got to be a way to do something with that money, right? You could, if you
Decline them.
really, really honestly say that, then you should, in the next breath, be like, you know what? Since I can't give this money back to the government, let me just go ahead and take all this money and I'm going to push it into this, charity of my choice, and give all the money to them, and drop the ball and be done with it, right? And then you're no longer talking about it, as we spoke in the very first few minutes here. You're no longer talking about it. You're actually taking action. So it's one thing to sit there and say it. And I applaud people for having the courage to say that, because that's a big step to actually say something like that. But in the next
is,
step, like,
yeah.
take the action. If that's how you feel, take the action, take the money, give it to somebody else, give it away to a charity, give it to something that's really important to you, that you feel like you can help out. And then I will give you a round of applause, and I'll be like, okay, that's awesome. You did the right thing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Don't just say it and continue receiving.
Exactly.
Yeah. Real quick, just gonna go to the comments here real quick. And we got a whole lot of them. U.S. Army Grunt, hey, welcome back, dude. So U.S. Army Grunt, yeah, we connected the other day, and this dude has a lot of knowledge, man. He's a little bit of an older veteran, but those are the types that I love, because you learn a lot from them. He mentioned, I will say that the VA has grown since I have been out too. It helps the vet way more now than when I was in. I'm curious, U.S. Army Grunt, what in your experience from when you used to go to the VA to now, what are some significant changes that maybe you have seen at your VA or the VAs that you frequented? I'm curious to see your perspective on that. Let me see. Boston Rob says, oh, also, welcome back, Boston Rob. Great to have you, by the way. Some specialties, MOS is traditionally discouraged going to medical due to removal from ops. Aviation is a good example. If I went to medical, I was usually grounded. Yeah, I completely understand that. And a lot of folks in leadership positions had some troubles going to see like mental health, from what I understand.
Yep.
I've been behind some closed door conversations with folks. Of course, I'm not going to name anybody, but talking about these things and how potential loss of like security clearances and things like that, or trust, and confidence or things like that. If you happen to seek out help for serious issues like mental issues, things like that. Let's see. No, Norman Swords, OV3T, OVT. Maybe I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, welcome to the channel, by the way. As an infantry veteran, I'm here to help in any foreign entanglement. The Romans were the first to pay hurt veterans. That's very interesting. You probably know more about that than I do there, John. I have not read about Roman payments to their veterans. What do they pay them with? Like land?
Land or salt, maybe.
Yeah.
No, not salt, but
Land, salt, who knows? I'm curious about that now. Like how did the Romans pay their veterans? Navy Cop says I can only speak to when I was serving with them 20 plus years ago. Things may have changed since then. Oh, he's talking about the Carabinieri. And in Italy, things change after every major election. Yeah. Let me see here. Go down. Oh man, we missed a lot of these comments.
they're scrolling by fast today.
Yeah. Charlton Zimmerman, hey, welcome back, man. Welcome back. Good to have you. He says VA compensation is not work-based. Social Security disable work qualify rules.
Exactly.
Right. Norman says we ran 6 miles daily. Man, this guy is a stud, huh? 6
Combat
miles
boots.
daily. Combat boots. Yeah, that'll mess you up, huh? I went, I went to I recall being when I was at Camp Pendleton, we were told to go to not the base theater. It was the stadium right there, like the football stadium. They had a bunch of seats outside, and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. This is many years ago, in maybe like 2005, maybe. The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps showed up. At that point, it was Sergeant Major Estrada, and he was. Somebody had asked him questions about running in boots, and how it like kind of messes up your back. He's like, "What is your thought about running in boots?" He's like, "Devil dog, why would you run in boots?" He's like, "That's why God created go fasters." Go fasters meaning sneakers, right? Yeah. Why would you run in boots in PT? That's why God created go fasters. Oh no. It was funny. I got a little laugh out of that. I'm like, well,
Wow.
because they make us run in boots there, Sergeant Major. Maybe do something about that. Let me see. SOFA agreements never rewritten or updated to fully provide sole benefit to the host country. In Italy, some of the agreements were ridiculous. I'm curious what stood out about those agreements, man. What was ridiculous about them? I want to laugh too.
They are set up for the country, though. They're not set up for the U.S.'s benefit, for sure. They are set up
100%.
for that government's benefits.
100%.
I've looked deep into it and wondered to myself why we haven't like revisited any of those. But yeah,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. Let's see here what we got here. U.S. Army grunt says in the early 90s, getting help, I assume with the VA, was like pulling teeth. Did you have to go like just advocate for yourself, or I mean, how far did you all have to take it? Like writing to local, I don't know, your mayor or something, your congressman to get help? I'm curious. Norman says I joined after 9/11. It was my senior year high school. I'm old now. Yeah, so we might be about the same age because I did the same. Tracer 6 Romeo was my call sign. So should we call you Norman or Tracer?
Tracer 6.
Tracer
Over.
6. I like that. That sounds pretty good actually. Let me see. U.S. Army grunt says, dude, 5-10 mile battalion PT runs in combat boots, flak jackets, and M16. Oh, back in the 80s. You guys had M16s in the 80s?
We had M16s in the 90s in the Army. What are you talking about? I remember flak jackets too. I think I still have one somewhere.
They still,
You
yeah,
never
they
have
still
to
use
turn
the
those
flak
things in
jackets.
after a certain year. Still got
They
one
had
somewhere.
they had the flak jackets. So the latest ones, I don't know how they are now, but the ones that I was issued, they had like a pull cord. I think it was down here, and everything comes apart.
Yeah. The whole thing falls apart. Yeah.
So We used to mess
Yeah,
with some folks.
but the-
Just pull it.
But the flak jackets were just big, heavy vests for no reason at all. Like they weren't stopping anything. There was
Yeah, they
no
had, like-
Kevlar inside. There was nothing. It was just garbage.
Yeah. They were. Yeah. Let's see. Norman says my buddies called him Delta Norm because I wanted Delta Force so bad. Bad legs. All right. He said too many stories for 200 character text boxes. Yeah, so those SOFA rights are long, man. I was a SOFA rights advisor when I was stationed in
Yep.
Japan, and when people would get in trouble, I had like a duty cell phone. Right at that point, it was like a flip Samsung phone or something. Many moons ago, probably like in 2000, maybe 2011 or so, and yeah, it was crazy because I'd get calls from PMO like in the middle of the night. Hey, I was a staff sergeant at the time. Hey, staff sergeant, we got this knucklehead, Marine, sailor, whoever, soldier, whoever stationed on base, right? Whoever it was within the overall unit, over at the local Japanese police department. You were either Iwakuni, Japan, or Hiroshima, which is like 40 miles down the road. You got to come read in their SOFA rights. And I'm like, oh shit, let me get dressed real quick. And I didn't necessarily need to get in uniform or anything like that. So I would just wear like, proper civilian attire, go out there and read this stuff. And it was several pages long, right? And yeah, it was just a pain, dude. Like these folks you'd walk in, they're like kind of sitting down in this one chair. It's like what you see kind of in like in a show, a TV show. They're like they're handcuffed to the desk, and the desk and the seat are bolted to the ground. And some of them are unruly. Some of them are just very calm. Many of them are drunk or just coming down off of intoxication. And then you sit there and I'd go through this. All right, your name, blah, blah. My name is so-and-so. I'm here to read your SOFA rights and just kind of go through it. And I think I told you, John, that one guy that I had, he was a Marine who was born in Bolivia, joined via Bolivia and all that. And this dude had very, very broken English. And my man, after reading like 4 pages of SOFA rights to him, I'm like, do you understand all the rights that I read you? And he's like, asked me to read it to him and to translate to him in Spanish. I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, you freaking joined the Marine Corps, dude. You have some kind of knowledge of English. Just, do you understand or not? No, I'm not translating this. It'll take forever. So I wanted to ask the folks out there and, everybody listening, everybody tuning in, if you could just put in the comments where you're tuning in from, what service, what branch of service you've served in, what years. Just let me know, just how I can kind of get an idea. I see the number of people who are watching. I just don't know who exactly is in here. And I wanted to see what your favorite, what your best, potentially your most used veteran benefit is. And I'll pose the same question to you as well, John. And I'm also curious, can you you living in Italy, are you able to use your VA home loan over there, like overseas?
Yeah, that's a great question. You cannot use your VA home loan in Europe. It's not possible. I've tried many different ways to try to figure that out, and it is not a possibility. So therefore, only within the United States and potentially U.S. territories like Guam, potentially some of the territories down in the Atlantic Gulf Coast in that area. But you cannot use it outside of the continental United States and U.S. territories, as far as I know. I can fact check that, but that's pretty much my take on it. But favorite VA benefit or most used VA benefit up to this point, just having not really a VA benefit, it's more a retirement benefit, but just having the the ID card is a really great thing in a lot of different ways. It saves you time at airports. It saves you time with police. It allows you to go in and if you're within reach of a military installation, you can go in, shop at the commissary, shop at the NEX or the PX or the BX or whatever it's called, wherever you're at. And it's not necessarily always the cheapest thing. In the States, I think it tends to be a little bit on the cheaper side on base than off base.
Mhm.
Over in Europe, that's kind of flipped around. It's a little bit more expensive on base, but also tax free. But yeah, having that ID card, and even the veteran card, if you have rated compensation from the VA, you get a veteran card, right? And then at some point, if you have 100%, then you get all the kind of other benefits that come alongside that. But having that ID card, especially if you're overseas and you're not employed by the U.S. government, just having that ID card really, really helps a whole lot in a lot of cases. Other than that, being able to interact with the VA website, the VA emails, a lot of the information that comes from the VA, and being able to kind of parse that down and find the good bits and put that stuff out. Like that's one of the great things of being a veteran.
No, that's excellent, man. And I think that veterans, like not specifically retirees, but veterans, folks who served less than 20 years, can now have access to on-base commissary exchanges. I think too, right? Didn't something come out about that?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Do you recall?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, overseas, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question. If I wanted to, could I fly, say, like where you are, or maybe like go to Rota, Spain, or somewhere, and use their commissary and exchange? Like just me, I'm not stationed there. I don't live there. Just kind of take a space A over there. Would I be able to use that?
I would say in Italy for sure. In Italy for sure, you can go to any base pretty much in Italy as long as you got an ID card to get on base, and it grants you privileges to get access to the base. You generally then have privileges to get access to the commissary and exchange. In Germany, if you want to use commissary and exchange privileges in Germany, you have to either be on orders from the States, official orders, allowing you to be able to use those facilities, or you can go to once you get on the ground in Germany, you can go to the local tax office on that base. You'll get a tax card, and you'll have to fill out that tax card and turn that tax card in before leaving the country, before getting on a plane or whatever to exit the country. You have to turn that tax card in to the German government. In Rota, it's a different situation because the base in Rota is actually a Spanish airbase. It's not I think it's an airbase, right? Spanish airbase. So it's not actually owned and operated by the U.S. government. We're just tenants there. So that has its own, ball of wax to get through. Plus the fact that you have to have pretty much your visa in place, requested, and have your visa in place before you actually travel to Rota. If you're traveling space A, if you're traveling commercially, it's a whole nother story. But yeah, Spain is at least Rota, Spain is owned and operated by the Spanish government.
Yeah, I saw on. I asked. Let me preface it with this: I asked because I was looking at some space A flights. I would love to get back to Japan. I had just had a great time out there, and one of specifically Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, where I served, and they since expanded the base. It used to be 6 miles around. Now they've expanded it completely. They built like a baseball stadium there. They built an entire runway, like an airport on the base. Excuse me.
Yep.
So I've been wanting to go back there, but on the sofa or on the manifest or whatever the terminals put out there, right? Like how many seats are available. It always says Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, and in parentheses, SOFA only, right? So you have to be SOFA rights eligible or whatever, not eligible, but have SOFA to be out there, be under the status of forces agreement. So, and I think it's because they fly directly into the base. So it's like you just can't be having folks just flying into the base, right? It's not a thing. So it kind of the other airports nearby, like I think it's Fukuoka, I think maybe Hiroshima has one. Uh, they're pretty expensive to fly to. So I'm like, how the hell can I work this out? But anyway, that kind of crossed my mind a little bit. And I like you mentioned the ID card, because folks don't realize it. And that definitely was not top of my list until you brought it up. But the ID card definitely gets you through a lot of places. It's definitely one of the cards that I carry with me, credit card, the ID card, and then my license. As I mentioned, I'm trying to dumb it down and just only carry select things with me. But I think, who is it on here? It was Navy cop mentioned the VA home loan or medical. Navy cop, most used VA medical. That is huge, 100%, man. And
I
use
agree with
VA
that.
home loan. No real military bases around here with commissary. Yeah. Somebody had mentioned to me that the commissary prices vary depending on the rank structure, the prominent rank structures within the base. So I had been to, when I was in Hawaii, I noticed that the prices were a little bit higher versus here in San Diego. And then where was I? Gosh, can't recall. There was another base that I went to, another commissary, and I can't recall who I asked. I'm like, hey, yeah, how do they know? Like, why aren't these places all priced the same, right? Like maybe a gallon of milk should be like $4 across the board at all commissaries. Like it all depends on the community, the level, the rank structure within that community. Like if there's more officers, if there's more 04s, 06s and above, the price is going to be a little bit higher. At least the community around that. I don't know if it means retirees. I don't know if it means active duty. I'm going to write it down because I'm going to get into that a little bit. Commissary
If you don't, I've never heard that, but that'd be interesting to understand that, if that's actually the case. I've never ever actually heard of that.
Yeah.
I do want to bring something up though, since you had brought it up, as far as Japan and travel and using stuff over in Japan. I've got two things. So let me connect my freaking phone again real quick. But one, I would say, if you get a chance to look it up, and you're on the West Coast, so it should really directly apply to you. There is a airline company called Zip Air, and they've got, not necessarily all the time, but they've got times of the year where they do maybe it's round trip, at least one-way trips to Japan for like sub $300. So maybe check that out if you're looking for commercial. Yeah.
The airline is called Zip Air. I've never heard of that. Or is it like a company?
Yeah, it's a local Japanese airline.
Oh, okay.
They do flights back and forth to the West Coast from all the major airports in Japan. And again, I haven't been to Japan, so I'm not speaking from 100% experience, but this is what I've in my looking up travels and traveling and nomad lifestyle stuff that came across my radar. I think they mentioned like some of the seats throughout the year, depending, can be sub $300, and then they have the lay down flat seats that are kind of like the business class, I guess. For right around $2,000, which from what I understand is pretty damn cheap.
I still wouldn't pay it.
The second thing,
$2,000's a lot.
yeah, well, I mean, it's a long flight, right?
It is.
But
it is.
The second thing I want to bring up, and it's just because you had brought up at the beginning of the year, and the video is out right now. If you want to go check it out, it's on the Green Log book, about the this is the 12 books that you're going to read this year. The 12 books.
Oh, yeah.
curated and that you're going to go through and your reason why. It was a great video, by the way, too. I like the way you edited it. I really enjoyed the video. But I wanted to see if I can throw an extra book in there that maybe you can squeeze in. And I don't think it's a very long book. I've been reading it daily pretty much for the last 2 weeks, I guess, maybe, or week and a half since the beginning of the year. I actually put down my daily Stoic. I put down my daily laws book. I put down my other daily kind of one page a day book. I put all 3 of those books aside this year. So I've reduced my New Year's resolution by taking those books off the shelf and replacing them with other stuff. And this is one of the first books that I started reading here this year in 2026. And I think you'll really enjoy it because it talks about 2 things that are really important to you. One is walking, whether that's walking in the forest, walking in mountains, doing trails. And the other part of it is all of these walks that are discussed are taking place in Japan. So a lot of good Japanese kind of history, Japanese kind of little things that you might, if you've lived in Japan, they may resonate with you. But just a really nice memoir from this guy, Craig Maude. Interesting character. I saw a 3 or 4 hour podcast with him on it and just got intrigued. And I went and picked up the book and started reading it. And it's become one of my favorite kind of memoir style books. It talks a lot about all things Japan and a lot about all things doing long walks, more than a few days at a time or even a month at a time.
Yeah. I got it written down here. I love that. I actually went out this morning, and as I mentioned to you, I put it up on my YouTube post, just kind of talking to the subscribers, the folks on the channel, the Green Logbook, just kind of telling them, hey, look, we made this promise to ourselves in 2026. At least I made the promise to myself. I don't want to make resolutions anymore because I feel like resolutions it's a loosely used word and it just kind of falls by the wayside 2 weeks in, right? You're hitting the gym, you're doing it, and oh man, my resolution, I missed a workout, it completely goes by and we never look at it again. So I thought more of a consistency mindset, right? Consistency. And part of that is, doing run walks, walk every morning. If I miss a workout, it's fine. Make it up on the back end, maybe do it that evening. Or maybe, I don't know, do, the next morning, whatever. But it's more so, I took the word resolution out. I just inserted the word consistency on there. And I love that, man, because walking is huge. Like when you have bad knees, when you have, a bad back or whatever, and you can't take the pounding on the pavement anymore from the running and all that, a simple walk will do it. And then depends if you put music on, that's on you. Normally I like to start my walks without any music. It's kind of like a thinking thing, like a meditative thing. Not a lot of cars out at like 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. And you just hear like birds starting to chirp, squirrels or rabbits. There's a bunch of rabbits and shit where I live. So rabbits kind of rustling around in the bushes. It's very meditative. It really is. So I love that. I'm gonna definitely check out that book. Talking about walking, there's a good video out that I came across yesterday. This dude, Jocko Willig, the Navy SEAL, he put out this video on the power of walking, just taking the step and doing something consecutive every day, but doing things in the morning. It's part of his, I think he calls it his death reset or something. And it is powerful. It really is just getting started. And I see it as, if you don't do a lot of physical exercise and getting out just in the morning and doing a walk, you probably did one of the hardest things you're going to do all day. You got that thing knocked out. So you continue on with your day. But yeah, no, awesome recommendation. I truly appreciate Things Become Other Things by Craig Maude. Let me see here. Just looking.
As soon as I heard that podcast, I was like, "This is Vic. This is right up Vic's alley." So then I grabbed the book and started reading. I was like, "Man, it's all Vic." While you're doing that, I want to pop up a comment on the screen real quick from U.S. Army Grunt and just kind of address it real quick. No, I did not actually. I've never been to Berlin. I've been all over Europe, been all over Germany. I spent the most of the 90s and early 2000s in Germany, but never got a chance to get to Berlin. I remember when the wall came down. I think I was in junior high, I think. Yeah, right around when 89. So when the wall came down, I remember when the wall came down. But yeah, no, never been to Berlin yet. I have a friend who goes there religiously all the time. There's a lot of partying, a lot of things up there in Berlin that he does. But no, I have not been myself. I would love to get there someday, and maybe we'll get there someday. But I spent most of my time around Frankfurt in the Hessen area. Down in Baden-Württemberg, near Heidelberg, Mannheim, all those wonderful places. But nope, not Berlin.
Sounds like a cool place, though. I mean, from the photos I've seen.
Yeah, Berlin's pretty hip.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're interested, and I'll just throw this out there too, real quick. Van Neistat is the name. Just look up Van Neistat. He's got a Patreon, and he does a lot of film producing. He is brothers with Casey Neistat. They did a bunch of film stuff on his Patreon. He's got a bunch of old interviews that he did in Berlin when he was there back in the early 2000s, I guess. A lot of really cool interviews that he did with folks in the kind of the art and the music scene over there. If you're interested in getting some interesting perspectives on that kind of like post 9/11 reasons why people move from New York to Berlin and why expats in Berlin are so prevalent. It's a really interesting kind of video series, but you got to be a Patreon subscriber to get access to it, but really cool. Okay, now I'll shut up.
No, curious about Berlin too, like all these other countries, about how veteran friendly a lot of these might be. Like in just my travels, I tend to connect with a lot of expats, if only to get like kind of like the lay of the land to see what's around there. And a lot of them seem to be veterans, right? So I don't know how many of these folks actually move over to Europe to like Berlin or things like that. I've encountered many of them in like Costa Rica or Guatemala. A lot of big veteran expat communities out that way. So curious about these countries in Europe, see how big these expat communities are out there that consist of veterans. One book that I picked up a while back, like maybe 2 weeks ago, and only because I know the author, it just kind of resonated with me. I used to be a big runner when I was younger in the Marine Corps, running marathons, half marathons, things like that. And then I picked this one up here, Haruki Murakami. What I talk about when I talk about running, and it's just kind of going through his. Have you read this one?
Yeah, it's really good.
You have, yeah. So I picked it up. I'm like, I know the author, right? I'm familiar with his stuff, so I figured, I'd like to get back into doing some sort of running, as much as I can. What my leg will allow me to do, but yeah, that's on my list. I didn't put that one on my 2026 list because I wanted to get through the books that have been sitting up there collecting dust for so long that I have not opened. So I want to get through those first and then jumping on this one here after the fact. There's so many, dude. Like anytime I got downtime, I'll hit up the bookstore and it's like a drug, dude. It's like, oh man, I haven't seen this one, but yet my shelves are so full. I envision like my office having loads of books up here, but I just need to be able to read those. Like what's his name, Mattis? Remember James Mattis? He had his library had like 13,000 books. I read somewhere that his PCS shipment was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20. I mean, it was just him, but like 20 something thousand pounds, and the majority of them was his book library. So like he had a couch, he had, he was a simple kind of living dude. And the majority of it was like boxes of his books. So he had a ton of them, but well read, and as he should be. He was a general who was very well versed in war and history. So as he should be. See here who we got. Navy cop says, I was working security in Naples when the wall came down. Wild time. 66 T Love. I was stationed at Ray Barracks, the home of Elvis. Where's that?
Ray Barracks. I think that's in Mannheim, right? I'm pretty sure it's in Mannheim, Germany. What the hell is this? Nope, I don't want that.
What?
I don't know what I clicked. I clicked on something on my computer and something was open and it was weird looking.
Oh shit. There was a spot on the wall where we did wall patrol and you used to stop and take pictures with it late night with David Letterman painted on it. What? The East German border guards would always go crazy, not know what was doing. Let's see. Navy cop says rivals my dad's library. When we moved houses, it would take him a month of nightly drop-offs to move all his books over. Yeah. So Navy cop sent me a photo of his dad's library, or the basement at least, and very nice. It looked like a museum. Very cool looking. 66 T Love says Friedberg, Germany.
Friedberg. Yep.
Friedberg. Awesome, man. Yeah, I gotta make it out there sometime.
I've been there.
So much history.
Most of those places are closed now. When they did the BRAC, and then they shut a bunch of stuff down. The most of I think Friedberg is closed, if I remember right. Giesen's closed. A lot of those places are closed. But yeah, I remember going there. Just so many of those places were open whenever I was there. And we went to so many of those places. It's hard to keep them all in track in my mind. But yeah, Friedberg is a cool place.
Awesome. I have to check them out. So yeah, there's we covered a lot today, man. A lot of VA discounts, favorite benefits. Yours was the ID card, right? I've got some homework to do. We talked a little bit about other countries and disability ratings and retirements. Curious what other countries military retirements look like. I'm curious what other countries VA. Well, they don't have Veterans Affairs, I don't think, but other countries service-connected disability payouts and ratings are. I imagine that ours here in the U.S. is a lot better than most of those around the world. So we may have a leg up on those. I want to connect with that one gentleman that I talked to. I mentioned that he said that he would give up all his VA disability money to make him feel better. I think I'll connect with him again, just to see like what his mindset is, man. That was kind of a quick conversation that we had, and it kind of stood out to me. I was like, I don't know that many people who would do that. It's kind of implanted into your daily life now. Like, use it for your mortgage, use it for whatever you need to live a normal life.
Yep.
Looking at commissary prices, talking books, Zip airline. I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant about like the smaller airlines. Like I took Southwest a while back, and it was like one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I didn't know that it was like, when I booked the ticket, I didn't know that it was kind of like a first come first serve type of system, right? You have to like get on there. It's like whoever checks into their flight first, they assign you a number from, I don't know, 1 to 300 or something. I didn't know that. So I was like, number 200 and something. And it was just the worst, man. Because I found like some seats for my family and I, and of course some lady puts all her family was still all the way in the back, one of the last numbers, and she had put all her stuff on the seats behind her to kind of claim those seats. And the asshole in me wanted to just smack that shit off the seat and just be like, hey, they're not here yet. I'm grabbing these seats. But then right behind her, there were empty seats. So I'm like, or right behind those seats were empty. I'm like, whatever, I'll just sit back here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I don't know. They talked about changing their stuff, but I hated that experience, man. So I'm kind of hesitant about flying like Frontier Airlines or all those, even though they're like
Yeah.
a lot less expensive than any other ones.
Yeah, good for that particular airline. I mean, it's a Japanese-based airline, and for that particular airline, certainly you can get the seats for cheap, but you're going to pay for everything else, extra luggage, whatever, drinks, snacks, whatever. You're going to have to pay for all that stuff. So, but I think all in all, you might come out on top. And it's a Japanese-based airline. I think I would trust a smaller Japanese-based airline than I would most American companies. To take care of me and be really meticulous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it because when you get on these airlines, when you get on these trains and stuff in Japan, they always bow to you, to
Yep.
kind of as a sign of respect for their job, for the people that they're working with. Boston Rob says boarding group C for center. Hell no, dude. I never choose, if I can, I'll never choose a center seat. I'm like a wide person, right? And I need some space. So I always get the aisle seat because I also don't like asking
Yep.
people, hey, can you wake up? I got to go to the restroom, I hate that trash, man. So I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Mm.
Oh, man. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff. Yeah, what do you got here, man? The Signal Brothers?
Yeah, one more thing, just real quick. If you're not busy on the 17th of January, I know you've done 2 other podcasts already. I'm going to go and hop on this podcast on the 17th. I think it's going to be 7 p.m. my time, which should be 1 p.m. East Coast time on the 17th. Yeah, smaller podcasts. They're getting things started. They come from the Army Signal perspective of things, hence the name the Signal Brothers. One of the hosts has been on our show, Kevin Heimavicki. If you go and dig through our archives, you'll find Kevin Heimavicki. I think the thumbnail is him standing on the front in some desert BDUs with like a mortar round in his hand or something like that. Cute little thumbnail, but yeah, definitely gonna go check out and hang out with these guys. Love what they do and love supporting other veterans. And if you got a chance, if you're available, be on there talking all things veteran stuff. And if nothing else, just give them a shout out, give them a holler, say hi, check out their stuff. 2 really good guys.
Awesome, man. Signal Brothers, right? No, good stuff, man. Yeah, the podcast I was on this week was this past week, yeah. It was Overwatch 5.9. It was run by this guy Dr. Jeff Schwartz. He's he does firearm and tactics and instruction. He's a doctor of criminal justice. So really good conversation with that one. And then I was on Beyond the Trek podcast. We just recorded that one on, I believe it was Thursday. And this gentleman is an Army Special Operations officer who talks a lot about leadership, mentorship, and all that. So a lot of good nuggets on there. Yeah, Beyond the Trek. Awesome dude, Chad. Awesome guy. He runs a great organization. So you'll see me on there at some point in time talking some gibberish. I don't know. We'll see. But no, it's good, man. It's great to connect, and that's what 2026 is about, man. Connecting with all these other organizations and veterans and podcasts and stuff, and see how we can make things better for the veteran community. That's what it really is all about. I don't like to see all the hate and stuff between or calling each other out. I'm not a big fan of that because we all have a mission here, and it's to potentially make the community better. Shout out to Hellfish Haven, who's joining us here. Says good afternoon and hope the new year treating you both and Chad well. Hell yeah, dude. If I'm alive, it's treating me well.
That's
so
right.
With that, I think we're good. What do you think?
Good to go.
Got anything to pass?
Appreciate it, man. No, man, I appreciate it. It was a good conversation. Loved every minute of it. Loved talking all these different things. I love every one of you out there for allowing us to go down these weird rabbit holes sometimes and talk about veteran stuff. But that's how veterans talk sometimes, right? Talk in circles every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
So
now,
real
hopefully,
quick
it's
shout out.
brought some good information benefits.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to say, if you haven't already done so and you're on Facebook, check out the Military Retirement Group on Facebook. It's not just for military retirees, it's for anyone, veterans. Doesn't matter if you served 4 years or 40 years, check out the Military Retirement Group. John and I are the admins on there, and we kind of scour all the stuff on there, make sure that these folks who are entering the group are legitimate, like veterans or active duty service members looking to get some information on the military to civilian process and how to best attack that. Aside from that, I will be having this gentleman tomorrow on the live stream, Rob from EB Travels. So he built this Space A platform, and it's going to be basically tomorrow. We're talking all about Space A. So I want to learn more about it because I plan on using it this year a little bit more than I've ever have before. I've only used it one time, and seems to be a good piece of gear for anybody who rates it. Right, you fly it for about $30, not bad. You just have to give up some of your time, I guess. But yeah, this guy built an entire platform for Space A. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that tomorrow. Just turn on notifications if you haven't already. Like and subscribe to the channels. Turn on notifications, and you'll see when we're going to go live. But aside from that, thank you all for sticking with us. Stay ready, stay safe, and tune in next Sunday for the Military Retirement Podcast.
Out here.
Out here.